All
Good.
right, yeah, we go. We're live now. We have with us Joe Cee, the political soothsayer. How you doing there, Joe?
I'm doing fine on the eve of the what everyone is calling the greatest election of all time.
Yes, Joe is going to talk about politics 101 as it pertains to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Who and what party is on its deathbed? And what party has more gall or more pizzazz and more strength than the other party? Joe, do your thing, man.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting question, and I can only come from my perspective of having 6+ decades on this earth, a certain amount of wisdom. My mother always told me to pray for wisdom and a certain amount of discernment. I'll back that up by saying while in college and pledging a fraternity, I got to work on Marion Barry's campaign. After graduating from college, I worked on my uncle's campaign, and both of them were successful mayoral candidates. I then came back to Baltimore and worked on several different campaigns and worked on several campaigns in Washington, D.C. And there's a certain amount of energy that one must get to bring out the numbers for you. And I tend to think that in this year's election, the Republican Party will bring out the independents and bring out the people who are not really active in an everyday political sense, but just really want to look at what's going on and see where the leaders of each particular party is taking the country and make a decision. And I know it's not a popular decision among African American people, but in my little bit of wisdom, little bit of discernment, I think it's going to be a squeak out victory for Donald J. Trump. And I say that because um, Biden. Now, I'm going to be quite honest with you. He's been in office. He's really a Washington swamp creature. He's been in office for 40 something years, and like the last debate, Donald Trump said to him, "Why didn't you do all of these things you're going to do in the last 8 years that you were in office?" And he had no answer because, again, he's all talk and no action. And when you look at what the Democratic Party has transformed into, as opposed to in my lifetime, they used to have I think black people got involved more with them during the Kennedy era, and then there were a certain amount of civil rights bills that were passed, but the needle changed a little bit. You had a policymaker named Adam Clayton Powell that pushed for blacks to go to public universities. So a lot of universities were integrated through some of the legislation that was passed back in the 60s. And black people have been voting Democratic ever since. But the conditions have been getting worse. And if you listen to a Minister Farrakhan rap of how he helps Muslims and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that's pretty much a Republican thing. Whereas Democrats have anesthetized us as a people with fakem salakem policies that don't change anything in our community and have actually deteriorated the community. I mean, if you go back to 1968 with riots, a lot of businesses went out of the country, and then in the 70s, actually, I say when Nixon left and then Clinton got in the office, a lot of the industries that black people were used to, steel plants, car industries, they were farmed out to other countries. So you have a hollowing out of the labor force and the working class people, and that's why you have so much crime in urban areas right now. And then, so getting back to this election of today, that's just to give you a backdrop of where I'm going with this. is that you see uh, the Democratic Party offer no plans, and then you have a certain amount of black people who will just say vote for blue no matter who. And you're talking about, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, if you're going to vote, you should be getting something tangible for your vote. And then when you talk to people, the only thing in my community, the only thing they will say is, we got to get bad man orange out. Well, it's a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome out here. And they don't even know why. I'm speaking to one sister and she hates Eric Trump. And I said, well, why do you hate Eric Trump? And she don't even know why. She said, because his last name is Trump. Now, the reality is that you're blessed and highly favored if you make it out of this world and this capitalist system, because democracy in America is failing blacks, whites, Latinos, people who immigrate here. They come here thinking they're going to have a house on a hill, and they just find out that it's a whole bunch of obstacles. But the Democrats offer you nothing but identity politics. They'll give you a brown face in a high place, and you're left with that. And the interesting thing about it is that Trump has just put a ugly face to a lot of people on all of the bullshit that America has been doing abroad and way before Trump. And if Trump it goes tomorrow, if the election doesn't go his way tomorrow, black people, to me, will be in a way worse situation than what they are now. So my prediction is that win, lose, or draw, the Democrat is a dying party. They deal from the bottom of the deck. They control the technology system. They control the media. When you look at the debates, you look how unfair they are. They don't ask Biden about his dealings in Ukraine. They don't ask him about his son's dealing in China. They come at Trump with Russiagate, which was a hoax. And people will all say, oh, all of these people got locked up. They were process crimes. They had nothing to do with Russia. Nothing at all. Tax stuff, and this, that, and the other. Lying, perjury, which the FBI set people up, set Flynn up. And the swamp is very real, and it's controlled by people like Joy Reid. Again, my sister turned me onto this show a long time ago called Mission Impossible. I must have been about 8 or 9 years old. And she told me nothing. When I'm watching this show, I didn't know what was going on. So she said, nothing is what you think it is. It's the complete reverse. In reality, that's exactly what's going on right now. The Democrat Party and the swamp controls the media, controls the technology, Google, YouTube, all of this. And so people who basically have a certain amount of wisdom become dumbed down by the Joy Reids of the world, the Rachel Maddows of the world. And this whole propaganda trick is played out in other countries by the CIA. That's how they overthrow different governments, and that's how they, control the narrative that capitalism is the way to go, and you want a McDonald's and you want all of these, a Walmart in your neighborhood, and this, that, and the other. But they're doing it right now on their own people. Take this Russian hoax that they, tied to Trump with 3 years. Tied him up with defending that, tied him up with impeachment, tied him up with this virus. Basically, I think all of these things was a resistance to Trump. And it all has proven to be totally false. And yet we still have people, especially in the African-American community, that buys into it hood, line, and sink, and just follow what the media tells them. If you ask somebody right now on North End Pennsylvania, in Baltimore, Maryland, was Trump a Russian agent? 9 out of 10 people would say he was, because they hear it over and over and over, and they really believe it. And there's not an ounce of truth to it. And see, that's what the Democratic Party sells you. I'm listening to a guy, these Joy Reids, these Roland Martins and Donna Brazils of the world. They are the worst. They're the worst. We always get one of our own to slay us. Now, Ice Cube comes out and he has a platinum plan to engage whoever is in power to embrace equity and financial assistance to Black people, not people of color, Black people, descendants of slaves, because we built this country. Never got our 40 acres and a mule. We never got the land. So he's trying to at least get a political party along with private institutions to invest in loan and hire and give back to a group of people that have been left out for so long. And what did the rabid dogs do within the Democratic Party? I mean, he's a coon. Now, he sent out this platinum plan to both parties. He sent it out to Biden. He sent it out to Trump. Trump embraced it, put it on his website, said certain things he could do, certain things he couldn't do. The Democratic Party said, I'll have to get back to you. And so that's what they think of you. It's like if I have a big affair, a ball that's coming up, and I have 2 different women that I'm seeing, I'm only going to take one to the ball. One that I'm going to take to the ball is the one that I appreciate more. And it's quite obvious from the response we get that the Democratic Party doesn't really care about our concerns. They'll offer free health care to illegal aliens. They have sanctuary cities where the infrastructure in the cities are not going to assist police to capture people who are in this country illegally. Now, let me, you, or anybody else of my skin tone not show up for court, failure to appear, and they're going to knock on our doors and drag us out here. But we cheer our own hanging. And then you have the bias of the media. All of the awful stuff that 44 was doing. He's called the deporter in chief. I'm talking to a Hispanic guy that I know from doing house repair with, and he said that the Hispanics, they despise Obama because he deported more people than any other president in the history, and he was the one that was putting them kids in cages and separating. And I have a Latino friend that was working for CNN, and they told him not to write these stories. But nobody wants to hear that. Now, when Trump is in there, everybody wants to hear it, and CNN reports it. So that just shows you the bias that is controlled by the media and controlled by the Democratic Party. And you look at Obama, he had wars in 7 Muslim countries. Trump has withdrew from Syria, trying to withdraw from all of these countries, but he's the warmonger. He didn't get a Nobel Peace Prize when Obama ran out of drone bombs when he was bombing in Syria, and he gets a Nobel Peace Prize. So it's just a hypocrisy that only the few misguided, misinformed, indoctrinated Black people are still going to be buying after this election. I believe that after Trump wins, this is my prediction, I think he's going to take Florida because of the Hispanic vote. I think he's going to take Pennsylvania. These are the swing states, battleground states is what they call them. Because Biden flip-flops. He goes and says he's against fossil fuel. Then he says he's for fossil fuel. These jobs and the country depends on oil. So Pennsylvania should go to Trump. Ohio, Wisconsin, because of the unrest. He wins 4 of those and it's over. The game's over. You know, if you win those 3 out of the 5, he should hold tight in Arizona and Texas. And if he does that, all of this mail-in stuff, all of these magician tricks that the Democratic Party is trying to do, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And it's unfortunate that we as a people vote for one particular party. 95% of our people vote for one party. So when that party loses, you don't have nothing. Only thing between you and the sword is nothing. It's the 5% of the black people that's in that party. But we call them coons. And we're the only race that puts 95% of our vote in one basket. Man, what is that telling you? Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sign off. Go out and vote your conscience. The democracy is falling, and black people need to wake up and smell the coffee.